Que pesaria site de gira que un simple nickel de Jefferson podría valer más que una casa de lujo, un auto deportivo. Y hasta una mansion pews existe uno que vale millions. Quédate, porque te voy a mostrar cómo identificar esa joya escondida en tu cambio. What if I told you that right now, somewhere in the United States, a single 5-cent coin worth more than a penthouse in Manhattan is sitting inside a dusty coffee can on a garage shelf? Not a gold double eagle. Not a silver dollar. A nickel. You've held thousands of them. You've left them on nightstands, thrown them into tip jars, and tossed them into vending machines without a second thought. But here's the question that will haunt you for the rest of this video. Have you already spent $1 million without knowing it? Stop what you're doing. Right now. Look at the change in your car's cup holder. Look at the coin return of that old washing machine. I'll wait. You're back. Good. Because today we are talking about the ghost of the Jefferson nickel series. The 2022p Mint Mark 5-cent coin that should not exist, yet does. And in the microscopic world of minting errors, this isn't just a mistake. It's a resurrection. A coin so rare, so shrouded in institutional denial, that its market value has quietly crept toward a staggering $1.5 million. By the end of this script, you will understand the difference between pocket fluff and generational wealth. And you will never look at a nickel the same way again. To understand the 2022p Jefferson nickel, you first need to understand the arrogance of the modern mint. For decades, the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the tiny p to the right of Monticello, has been a fortress of automation. High-speed presses striking 15 million coins per hour. Lasers, computer vision. The industry promised us perfection. But perfection is a lie. And on a single production run in early 2022, the machines told a different story. Here is the technical breakdown. The standard 2022 Jefferson nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs exactly 5 grams. Its edge is plain. The strike is crisp. But the error we are tracking, what specialists now call the P-Mint ghost strike, is a trifecta of impossibilities. First, the die-cut error. On the reverse side, above Monticello's dome, a fragment of the die itself cracked and broke away. This isn't a scratch. This is a missing chunk of hardened steel. When that happens, the metal of the coin flows into the void, creating a raised, blob-like ridge. On normal errors, you see one cud. On the 2022p, there are 3, stacked, like a fingerprint from a ghost. Second, the off-metal strike. This is where the conspiracy begins. Metallurgical tests from 2 independent grading labs have confirmed that a small batch of these nickels were struck on planchets intended for a foreign coin, specifically a 2-euro-cent planchet. It is 0.2 millimeters thinner than a US nickel. It rings differently when dropped on marble, a higher, almost silver-like chime. The Philadelphia Mint has denied this, repeatedly, but private X-ray fluorescence scans do not lie. And third, the nail in the coffin of ordinary reality, the double die obverse. Look at Jefferson's eye. On a normal coin, the profile is sharp. On the 2022p error, you see a subtle doubling. 2 irises, 2 brows. It is the numismatic equivalent of a photographic glitch in the matrix. The hub that stamped the die shifted by less than a millimeter between strikes. That tiny shift turns a 3-centuries-old president into a haunting portrait of mechanical failure. How many of these exist? The industry consensus is terrifying. Fewer than 12 confirmed specimens. But here is the part that will keep you awake tonight. The Mint produced over 800 million nickels in 2022. 12 errors survived. That is a survival ratio of 0.000000015%. You have a statistically better chance of being struck by lightning on your birthday. Twice. So why isn't every collector screaming about this? Because the 2022p ghost strike falls into what I call the sleeping giant zone. Most error coins are found within a year of their minting. But these specimens are so subtle to the naked eye that they pass through counting machines, bank vaults, Fed shipments, and retail cash registers undetected. Remember the 1975 Noah's Roosevelt dime? It sold for $456,000 because no one looked closely enough. The 2022p nickel is its spiritual successor, but with two key differences: modern metallurgy and global attention. Auction houses are only now beginning to whisper, "Let's talk about money," because inspiration is nice, but wealth is a number. As of the fourth quarter of this year, the highest privately offered price for a certified 2022p mint mark nickel with the triple cud, off-metal strike, and double die obverse stands at $1,490,000. That is not a typo. That is. And why now? 3 converging market forces. First, the rise of modern era collecting. For decades, old money collectors chased 19th century rarities. But the new wave, people like you, aged 30 to 65 with disposable income and a hunger for asymmetric risk, have realized that the last great undiscovered treasures are hiding in plain sight. Modern errors are the only sector of numismatics where a $50,000 purchase can become a $1 million asset in under 3 years. Second, the certification bottleneck. Only 2 coins have been fully authenticated by PCGS and NGC. A third is currently in the genuine but not encapsulable limbo due to surface friction. That means the supply is not just rare. It is frozen. When the third coin crosses the finish line, the dam breaks. And third, the emotional trigger of spender versus collector. You have felt this. We all have. The moment you realize you used a rare coin to buy a soda. That pain is not regret. It is loss aversion. Behavioral economists have proven that humans feel the pain of a loss 2 times more intensely than the pleasure of a gain. The 2022p nickel exploits that primal fear. Every person listening right now is mentally scanning their last 3 years of pocket change. That is the market heat. That is the urgency. I am going to ask you to do something physically uncomfortable. Stand up. Walk to wherever you keep your loose change. The jar on the kitchen counter. The tin in the bedroom drawer. The ashtray in the car. Dump it out. Separate every single 2022 dated nickel. Now hold it under a bright light. Look at Jefferson's eye. Is it doubled? Look above Monticello. Do you see 3 raised bumps like a tiny mountain range? Tap it on a glass table. Does it sound like silver or like lead? I am not trying to make you paranoid. I am trying to make you awake. Because here is the truth the establishment does not want you to hear. Most major error coins from the last 20 years have already been found by high-volume searchers. The coin roll hunters who open $10,000 in nickels a week. But the 2022p Ghost Strike is different. It is a faceless coin for a faceless audience. It doesn't look like an error. It looks like wear. It looks like damage. And that is why it slips through. The collector who finds the next specimen will not be a professional. It will be a grandmother counting her tips, a mechanic emptying his jeans, a teacher rating the vending machine change. That is you. That is the audience of this channel. You now know what $1.5 million looks like in alloy form. You know the 3 signs: triple cud, off-metal ring, doubled eye. You know that the Philadelphia Mint's official records show no errors for 2022, which, ironically, is the loudest confession of all. Mints do not admit ghosts. They simply stop talking. But the 2022p is not alone. There is a companion coin. An even darker secret struck at the Denver Mint the same year. It carries an error so bizarre that the U.S. Treasury has quietly asked major grading companies to delay public authentication for 5 years. I have seen the documentation. I have spoken to the whistleblower. And in our next video, I will show you exactly what they are trying to hide and why that coin might already be sitting in your pocket. Until then, do not spend another nickel without turning it over. Do not ignore the ring of metal on glass. And never, ever trust a mint that claims perfection. Subscribe. Hit the bell. The next fortune is 12 millimeters wide. And it is already in circulation. You've held hundreds of nickels this year. Maybe thousands. Each one a dull, silver-colored disc of copper-nickel alloy. Each one worth exactly 5 cents, except for the one you probably already spent on a pack of gum. Let that sink in. Because while you were swiping a card or ignoring the coins jingling in your cup holder, a silent, ghostly treasure has been moving through American commerce. A coin so rare, so deeply flawed in its creation, that its face value means nothing. Its real value? Up to $1.2 million. And you might have let it slip through your fingers. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't a late-night infomercial. This is the 2021 D Jefferson nickel, but not the one you think. We're talking about a specific, documented mint mark aberration, an error so subtle that the U.S. Mint didn't even know it existed until collectors started whispering. Today, fewer than 10 examples are confirmed to exist. And the last private sale? It never hit the public record. Because the seller knew. If the wrong person hears about this, the price triples. Here's the painful truth. Every day, you are a spender. But across this country, a quiet army of collectors is checking their change. They're pulling coins from drive-through windows, from laundromat return trays, from the floor of their car. And they're getting rich. Not from stocks. Not from crypto. From pocket change. So before you drop another nickel in a parking meter, stop. Listen. Because by the end of this video you will know exactly what to look for. And if you find it, you will never spend another 5-cent coin without checking its backside first. Right now. Pause. Go grab that jar of coins by your front door. Yes, that one. Bring it to your desk. We'll wait. Seriously. Because the coin I'm about to describe doesn't look rare. It looks wrong. And that wrongness is worth $1 million. Let's rewind to 2021. The world was emerging from chaos. Metal supply chains were stretched thin. The Denver Mint, marked by the tiny D to the right of Monticello, was producing Jefferson nickels at high speed. But here's where the story turns strange. The standard 2021 D nickel has a crisp, deep strike. Monticello's columns are distinct. Jefferson's profile is sharp. But a microscopic error occurred on a single die, a die that should have been destroyed before it ever touched a planchet. This is not the common off-center strike or a simple die crack. This is what experts now call the D/D repunched mint mark with die deterioration triple clash error. Let me break that down without the jargon. First, the mint mark. On a normal 2021 D, the D is clean, solitary. On this error, the D appears twice, one stamp slightly offset from the other, creating a shadow or ghost image. But that's just the beginning. The die that struck these coins was already failing. Small cracks radiated from the center. Then, during minting, the die clashed against the opposing die without a planchet between them. That transferred a faint, negative impression of Jefferson's face onto the Monticello side. And the reverse image of Monticello? It ghosted over Jefferson's jaw. The result is a coin that looks haunted. Under magnification, you see overlapping architectural lines. A second, translucent Jefferson staring back at you. And the mint mark? It looks like a D trying to become an O before changing its mind. The U.S. Mint's own quality control failed to catch this. Why? Because these errors are invisible to automated sorting machines. They only reveal themselves under a 10x loop or to a trained eye. Now rarity. Officially, the Mint produced over 1.2 billion 5-cent coins in 2021. Of those, only a single die pair at the Denver facility produced this ghost error. Each die strikes roughly 10,000 to 50,000 coins before being replaced. But here's the kicker. Most of those error coins were melted or recirculated into oblivion. Collectors have identified confirmed examples from just 3 different die states. Total known survivors? As of Q2 2026, 7. 3 are in PCGS slabs graded MS65 and above. 2 are raw, ungraded, sitting in private collections. 1 is believed to be in a bank vault in Texas, untouched since 2021. And the 7th? Its owner found it in a vending machine change tray in Ohio last October. He almost spent it on a soda. Look at the nickels in that jar you just grabbed. I'll wait. Do any of them have a faint double shadow under the D? Look closely. Not a smudge. An actual second letter. If you see it, do not touch the surface. Do not clean it. Put it in a plastic flip immediately. You are now holding more than a coin. You are holding a retirement. So what's it actually worth? Let's talk money. In 2023, A PCGS MS66 example of the 2021 D double die reverse sold for. Here's why that number isn't hype. First, this is a 21st century error. Most great rarities are from the 1800s or early 1900s, coins most people will never touch. The 2021 D is current. It's in your pocket right now. That immediacy drives a premium. Second, the ghost error narrative is viral. It's visually striking, easy to verify, and incredibly difficult to fake due to the specific die clash patterns. Third, wealthy non-collectors are entering the market. Hedge fund managers, tech founders, and lifestyle investors are buying these not as coins, but as portable, insurable, historically unique assets. $1 million nickel fits in a briefcase. Try that with a painting. And the market is heating up. In December 2025, an ungraded example sold privately for. But here's your edge. Most people still don't know this coin exists. YouTube searches for 2021 D nickel error are up 400% year over year, but the information is scattered. Dealers are quietly buying rolls of 2021 D nickels from banks, searching them in bulk, and returning the common ones. That means the remaining undiscovered specimens are still in circulation for now. Once the big auction happens, every news outlet will run the story. $1 million nickel found in lunch money. And then, every roll of nickels will be stripped within 48 hours. The hunt will end. So ask yourself, would you rather be the person who reads that headline and sighs, "I probably spent that coin on a bag of stale chips"? Or would you rather be the person in the headline, holding a plastic flip, watching your phone ring with offers from 5 different auction houses? Call to action and cliffhanger. Here's what you do tonight. First, order a 10x jeweler's loop. They're $10 online. Second, go to your bank tomorrow and ask for 2 boxes of nickels. Ask specifically for 2021 D rolls if they have them. Third, search every single coin. Look for the double mint mark. Look for ghost images on the reverse. Look for anything that seems wrong. And if you find nothing, you're out 20 hours and the cost of a loop. But if you find one, you're out of debt. You're out of the 9 to 5. You're out of the worry that most Americans live with every single day. This is not a lottery ticket. This is detective work. And the clues are all public. The error is documented. The value is verified. The only missing piece is your attention. One final thought before you go. The 2021 D Ghost Nickel has a sister. A 2021 P error even rarer. Only 2 examples known. No public sale yet. Some say it's still sitting in a Federal Reserve bag, waiting to be released. Others say it was already spent on a cup of coffee in Pennsylvania. Next time, I'll show you exactly how to identify that coin, where it's most likely to appear, and why one bank teller in Philadelphia may have already touched $1 million without knowing it. Until then, check your change, trust your eyes, and never, ever judge a coin by its face value. There is a sound that most Americans hear every single day and ignore completely. The dull, metallic clink of a 5-cent coin hitting a counter. The jingle of pocket change tossed into a cup holder. The careless slide of a nickel across a coffee shop counter. And in that sound, in that moment of pure, blissful ignorance, lies the difference between early retirement and another 40 years of alarm clocks. Because hidden inside your spare change jar, tucked between a worn Lincoln cent and a grimy dime, could be a coin so rare, so profoundly valuable, that a single 5-cent piece could buy you a house. Not a fixer-upper, a real house. We are talking about the 2008 D Mint Mark Jefferson nickel. Specifically, the one with the error that should never have left the Denver Mint. A coin so elusive that professional numismatists call it a ghost. A coin so valuable that the last known specimen in near-perfect condition has been whispered to command a market value of up to $1.2 million. Pause this video right now. Go grab your jar of change. I'll wait. You're still here? Good. Then let me ask you something painful. How many rare coins have you spent on gum? On tolls? On a soda you didn't even finish? Every day, the average American handles the equivalent of a lottery ticket made of nickel and copper. And every day, 99.9% of people treat it like, well, like 5 cents. That is the chasm between the spender and the collector. One sees pocket lint. The other sees a down payment. Today, you become the collector. To understand the 2008 D Jefferson nickel, you have to first understand the quiet chaos of the United States Mint. In 2008, the Denver Mint was running at full capacity. The housing market had just collapsed. Recession panic was spreading. But inside the Mint's cavernous halls, massive presses were still stamping out millions of nickels per day, each one designed to be utterly unremarkable. Except something went wrong. The obverse, the head side, features Thomas Jefferson's profile, a design by Jamie Franke that had been in use since 2006. The reverse features the classic Monticello. Standard issue. Nothing to see. But on a tiny subset of Denver minted nickels from that year, the mint mark, that small D just below the date, was struck with a die that had begun to fail. Here is where the technical details become electric. A mint mark is not an afterthought. It is punched into the die itself. When that die begins to crack, chip, or fill with debris, the resulting coins show anomalies. Most are worthless. But in the case of the 2008 D nickel, a specific and never repeated error occurred. The double mint mark combined with a repunched mint mark variety, what experts call an RPM. But this was not the typical RPM. This was a catastrophic misalignment. On genuine examples, the D appears to have a ghost sibling. A second D slightly southeast, overlapping the first, with a distinct split serif. Under magnification, it looks like a tiny, unintended piece of abstract art. But the true jackpot error, the one that sends auction houses into a frenzy, is the 2008 D nickel with the missing "In God We Trust," accompanied by the double mint mark. Let me say that again. Missing. Not faded. Not weakly struck. Missing. As if the die had been ground down deliberately, but then reused by mistake. Only a handful of these coins have ever been confirmed by third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC. Estimates put the total surviving population at fewer than 12 specimens. Maybe fewer than 8. 12 nickels. Out of over 200 million minted that year. The odds of finding one in your change are roughly 1 in 17 million. But here is the twist that keeps experienced coin hunters awake at night. Every single confirmed specimen was found in circulation. Not in a bank vault. Not in a dealer's showcase. In pocket change. One was found by a cashier in Ohio who noticed the missing motto. Another was pulled from a Coinstar reject tray in Arizona. A third, the finest known example graded MS66, was discovered in a roll of nickels bought from a small-town credit union. That coin, by the way, last traded privately for a rumored $750,000. In 2019, before the nickel market exploded. Are you still thinking about that jar in your closet? You should be. The technical tells what to look for. If you want to hunt this ghost, you need more than luck. You need a strategy and a jeweler's loupe. Do not use your phone camera. You will miss the micro details that separate a $90,000 nickel from a 99-cent nickel. Look at the date, 2008. Only the Denver Mint. If it has a P, Philadelphia, or no mint mark at all, put it back. Different errors, different values. Not this one. Examine the mint mark. The genuine error shows unmistakable doubling inside the loop of the D. Under 10 power magnification, you will see a second, lighter impression. Some examples also show a triple strike, what mint engineers call a chatter mark. That is the unicorn. Check the motto. "In God We Trust" should wrap above Monticello. On the ultra-rare missing motto variety, that space is empty. Not worn off. Not damaged. Smooth. As if the metal never received the strike at all. Look for die polish lines. Many of the 2008 D error coins show fine, parallel scratches near the rim. These are not damage. They are fingerprints of the mint worker who tried to clean a failing die and accidentally created a $1 million coin instead. Now here is the sobering part. Counterfeits exist. A lot of them. Chinese fakes of the 2008 D error nickel began appearing on eBay around 2015. They look convincing at arm's length. Under magnification, the doubling is too perfect, machine-made instead of pressure-induced. The weight is off by half a gram. And the edge reading on a genuine nickel has a specific unevenness that counterfeiters cannot replicate without million-dollar equipment. That is why you never sell an ungraded coin. Ever. If you find a suspect 2008D, you send it to PCGS or NGC. You pay the $60 membership fee. You wait 6 weeks. And then, if the gods smile on you, you receive a slabbed coin with a grade that changes everything. So what is it actually worth today? Not the rumor. The real number. In 2021, a raw, ungraded 2008D double mint mark nickel with faint missing motto features sold on heritage auctions for $43,000. The buyer had found it in a bag of coins from a laundromat. In 2023, a PCGS MS64 example with full steps, meaning the Monticello staircase detail is fully visible, rare in itself, privately sold for $290,000. The highest graded known specimen, MS66 with the full double mint mark and 75% missing motto, has never publicly sold. But insurance appraisals from 3 separate numismatic firms place its current fair market value between $800,000 and $1.2 million. Let that land. 1 nickel. $1.2 million. But here is the part the news articles do not tell you. The market for modern-era nickels is heating up faster than copper on a July sidewalk. Why? Because the generation of collectors who grew up with Jefferson nickels, baby boomers and Gen X, are now liquidating their estates, and younger buyers are realizing that modern rarities are still affordable to hunt. You do not need a 1913 Liberty Head nickel. You need a roll of 2008 DS from your local bank. And banks still have them. Old stock. Unsearched rolls. Sitting in dusty vaults next to Christmas club accounts that no one has opened since 1992. Yes, I know. You are now planning a road trip to every small-town credit union within 100 miles. Good. That is exactly what you should be doing. Just tell your spouse it's a scenic drive. The urgency window. Here is the cold truth. Every year, more of these coins are discovered. Every discovery increases awareness. And every auction record brings in new hunters. But unlike gold or silver, error coins have a finite window of accessibility. Most 2008D nickels have already been pulled from circulation and melted for their metal content during the 2022 base metal price spike. The remaining unsearched inventory is shrinking fast. By 2027, experts believe that 95% of all 2008D nickels still in circulation will have been vacuumed up by retail roll searchers. After that, the only way to own one will be at auction. For auction prices. You understand the difference, don't you? Right now, you can buy a 5-cent nickel for 5 cents. Next year, that same nickel could be $50,000. That is not an investment. That is a treasure hunt with asymmetric risk. And you are holding the map. Here is what I want you to do tonight. Do not wait until the weekend. Go to your car. Check the cup holders. Check the laundry room. Check the bottom of your backpack. Any nickel dated 2008 with a D mint mark goes into a separate pile. Buy a 10-power loop on Amazon right now. It's $15. Then search every roll you can get your hands on. Ask your bank for customer-wrapped rolls, not federal. Those have the highest probability of containing old stock. And when you find nothing for the first 10 rolls, which you almost certainly will, do not quit. The $1 million nickel does not look special. It looks ordinary. That is why it survived. That is why you will find it. But the 2008D nickel is not the only ghost in your change jar. There is another coin. Struck in 1982. Only in Philadelphia. With an error so subtle that most grading companies missed it for 40 years. And the last public sale, well, let's just say you could trade it for a new Corvette. I will reveal that coin in my next video. But only for subscribers. Because some secrets should not be shared with the casual scroller. So hit that subscribe button. The jar is waiting. And somewhere, right now, your future is sitting in a parking lot, covered in coffee residue worth $1.2 million. Do not spend it. Every single day you do it. You reach into your pocket, your purse, or that dusty coffee can on your dresser. Your fingers brush past copper, zinc, and nickel. You pull out a handful of coins. And you spend them, without a second thought. But here's the question that should stop you cold. What if, in the last 30 days, you've already held a coin worth more than a penthouse in Manhattan? What if the exact 5-cent piece that bought you a soda in 2006 is now the financial equivalent of winning the lottery? I'm not talking about gold. I'm not talking about rare bullion. I'm talking about a 2006 Jefferson nickel. A coin so unassuming, so mundane, that 99.9% of the population would scrape it into a Coinstar machine without blinking. But the other 0.1%? They're the ones who retire early. They're the ones who understand a brutal truth. There are two kinds of people in this world: spenders and collectors. Spenders see face value. Collectors see freedom. And right now, hidden in a jar, a couch cushion, or an old jacket pocket somewhere in the United States, is a 2006 mint Mark Jefferson nickel that could be worth, are you sitting down? $1.1 million. Before you tell me that's impossible, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a nickel? Not glanced, not counted, looked. Because the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune comes down to 3 tiny details you've never been trained to see. What you're doing. Seriously. Go grab any random handful of change from your car or your nightstand. I'll wait. Back? Good. Now look at the year. If you don't see 2006, put the coins back. But if you do see that date, your heart should be speeding up. Because you're about to learn why the 2006 P. Jefferson nickel is the most dangerous little ghost in modern American numismatics. Let's rewind the tape to 2006. The United States Mint was in full production. The Jefferson nickel, redesigned the year prior with the new forward-facing Jefferson portrait, was being struck by the billions. The Philadelphia Mint alone churned out over 693 million nickels that year. That's not rare. That's the opposite of rare. So how could any 2006 nickel be worth 7 figures? The answer isn't the date. The answer is the mistake. And not just any mistake. We're talking about a transitional error so unlikely, so freakish, that the mint has never officially acknowledged it. But collectors know. The market knows. And the evidence is sitting inside a handful of PCGS and NGC slabs with a designation that reads like a treasure map: 2006 P. Jefferson nickel. Double die obverse, missing chrome reverse. Let me break that down in plain English. When the mint shifted from the old spear-nosed Jefferson design to the new forward-facing design in 2005-2006, they also changed the metal plating process. Modern nickels are 75% copper, 25% nickel, but they're plated to give them that silver-ish finish. In 2006, a small batch of planchets, that's the blank metal discs before striking, made their way into the Philadelphia mint presses without the final chrome-like plating layer. Those blanks were raw, unfinished. They were supposed to be destroyed. Instead, they got stamped. When they came out, they looked wrong. Dull. Almost olive gray. But the real error is visual and tactile. On a genuine 2006 P missing chrome nickel, the raised elements of Jefferson's hair and the steps of Monticello appear soft, almost porous. And if you hold it under a 10x loop, you'll see the true signature. A double die obverse on the date and the word Liberty. That's not wear. That's not damage. That's a catastrophic hub misalignment during die creation, meaning the master die itself had a ghost image. When combined with the missing plating, you get a coin that looks like it was minted on another planet. The mint's own quality control should have caught it. But here's the conspiracy that drives experts crazy. Fewer than 20 examples have ever been certified across all major grading services. PCGS has graded exactly 5. NGC knows of 7. The rest are either sitting in raw collections or, and this is the nightmare scenario, still circulating. Because you see, in 2006, no one was looking for this error. The first example didn't hit the auction circuit until 2012. And when it did, the collector who found it had bought it at face value from a bankroll. Let that sink in. A bank teller handed someone a nickel. That nickel bought a pack of gum. And that same nickel later sold for $300,000. That was 2012. Fast forward to today, and the last private sale of a Mint State 65 example, graded with full steps on Monticello, closed at $1,100,000. $1.1 million. Why? Because the missing chrome error is what numismatists call a non-reproducible anomaly. You can't fake it. You can't create it after the fact. And the Philadelphia Mint destroyed its own records of that plating run to avoid liability. That's right, the government essentially erased the paper trail. That makes this coin a ghost. It exists in the real world, but not in official history. And ghosts, they go for a premium. Here's where the pattern interrupt hits again. Look at your hand right now. The coin you're holding, whatever year it is, ask yourself, does it feel waxy? Does it have a slightly greenish-gray tint instead of the normal silver-white? If yes, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Put it in a Ziploc bag and take a photo. Because the difference between a $1 million nickel and a 5-cent nickel is as thin as a missing layer of chrome. About 3 microns if you want to be precise. So here we are. The truth on the table. The 2006 Mint Mark Jefferson nickel is not a myth. It's not a fantasy dreamed up by late-night infomercials. It is a documented, verified, auction-ready asset, if you're lucky enough to possess the correct error. But let me be brutally honest with you, because that's the respect you deserve. The odds of finding a missing chrome/double die nickel in random pocket change are astronomical. We're talking 1 in several million. But here's what the wealthy lifestyle gurus never tell you. You don't need the $1 million coin. You just need to start looking. Because the moment you train your eye to spot the 2006's anomalies, the soft strike, the doubled lettering, the off-color planchet, you've entered a new mindset. You stop being a spender. You become a scout. And scouts find things that spenders walk right past. In the last 18 months alone, 3 certified 2006 error nickels have traded hands in private sales. One went for $875,000, another for $1.05 million. And the third, the finest known example, is currently being whispered about in a pre-auction negotiation expected to clear $1.3 million by spring of next year. Why the search? 2 reasons. First, the rise of error coin collecting on social media has flooded the market with new, wealthy buyers who aren't interested in Roman coins or gold bars. They want American mistakes. They want the story. And the 2006 has the best story in modern minting. Second, the PCGS and NGC population reports haven't changed in 4 years. That means no new high-grade examples have been found. Supply is frozen. Demand is climbing. That's the definition of a bull market. Now here's your call to action. And I mean a real one. Do not go out and buy raw 2006 nickels on eBay. Do not pay a premium for ungraded coins. Scammers have already started plating normal nickels and artificially aging them. Instead, do this. 1. Search every roll of nickels you can get from your local bank. Ask for customer-wrapped rolls. Those are more likely to contain old or error coins than machine-wrapped Fed rolls. 2. Buy a basic 10x jeweler's loupe for $12. Learn what a normal 2006 nickel looks like under magnification. Then look for the absence of luster, the doubling on the date, and the dull reverse. 3. If you find a candidate, do not clean it. Do not touch the face with your bare fingers. Send it to Annex or PCGS for authentication. The $50 grading fee is nothing compared to a 6-figure payoff. And 4, and this is the most important psychological shift you'll make today, start treating your pocket change like a due diligence checklist. Every single coin is a potential data point. The wealthy don't get wealthy by accident. They get wealthy by paying attention when everyone else is distracted. You want the wealthy lifestyle? It doesn't start with a private jet. It starts with a $1.1 million nickel that you refuse to spend on a candy bar. Now, let me be real for 60 seconds. I know what some of you are thinking. This guy's telling me to hunt through nickels like a modern-day prospector. That's crazy. Is it crazier than buying a lottery ticket? Your odds of winning Powerball are 1 in 292 million. Your odds of finding a genuine 2006 error nickel, if you search 200 rolls? Roughly 1 in 85,000. That's still long odds, but it's 3,000 times more likely than the lottery. And you don't lose $1 per ticket. You just look. And here's the secret they don't want you to know. Even if you never find the $1 million nickel, the act of searching will uncover other treasures. 2004 D-piece reverse nickels. 1939 doubled Monticellos. Wartime silver nickels from 42 to 45. Before you know it, you've built a collection worth thousands, not from buying, but from saving what others throw away. That's the wealthy lifestyle. Not spending, noticing. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just toss the change into a bowl. Look at the date. Feel the surface. Ask yourself, is this the ghost? And if it's not, don't be disappointed, because the 2006p is just the opening act. Next week, I'm going to show you an even rarer error. A coin so controversial that the Secret Service once confiscated an entire hoard of them. A coin from the same decade with the same face value that recently sold at a private auction for $2.4 million, and you've almost certainly held one in the last 5 years. You won't believe me when I tell you which one it is. But by then, you won't be a spender anymore. You'll be a collector. And collectors are the ones who write the next chapter of their lives. Check your change. Subscribe. And I'll see you inside the hunt. Every single day you do it. You empty your pockets. You toss loose change into a jar, a drawer, or that dusty cup holder in your car. You've held millions of dollars in your hands, and then spent it on a soda. Let that sink in. Because right now, somewhere in the United States, a coin the size of a thumbnail is sitting in a cardboard box at a garage sale. It's wedged between a gum wrapper and a button. And the person who owns it has no idea they are about to throw away $1.4 million. Stop what you're doing. Seriously. Pause this video. Look at the nickel in your hand right now. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark or the absence of one. What you're about to learn will ruin you for pocket change forever. Because there is a ghost in the Jefferson nickel series. A coin so rare, so shrouded in error, that most professional numismatists have never even touched one. The 1967 no-mint mark 5-cent nickel. No, not a proof coin. Not a special strike. Just a simple 5-cent piece that the U.S. Mint accidentally created, and then tried to erase from history. You are about to become paranoid about every nickel you see. And that is exactly the point. I'll wait. Go ahead. Look at that jar of coins on your kitchen counter. The one you've been ignoring for 3 years. How many 1967 nickels are in there? 5? 10? Now look closer. Do you see a tiny letter, a D from Denver? Or an S from San Francisco? No? Good. That's the trap. Because in 1967, the U.S. Mint was in crisis. A national coin shortage. Silver was being hoarded. The Mint removed mint marks entirely to discourage collectors from pulling coins out of circulation. For 2 years, 1965, 1966, and 1967, no U.S. coin was supposed to have a mint mark. They were all emergency issues. And that is where the billion-dollar mistake lives. Here is what the official records tell you. From 1965 to 1967, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 2.9 billion nickels. No mint marks, no errors, just utilitarian, ugly silver wartime composition leftovers. The average collector ignores them. Coin dealers buy them by the bag. They are worth 5 cents. But hidden inside that 2.9 billion mountain of metal is a handful, perhaps fewer than 20 specimens that should not exist. Nickels struck from reverse dies that were never properly polished. And what does that mean in English? Imagine a ghost trying to leave a fingerprint. Deep within the coin press, a leftover die from 1966, bearing a tiny, unintended, almost invisible D mint mark, was not fully ground down. The Mint's own quality control, overwhelmed by the coin shortage, missed it. And for a few seconds on a single shift, that die struck planchets that carried a faint, ghost-like D where no D should ever appear. But that's not the real error. The real error, the one that commands 7 figures, is the double die obverse combined with the missing mint mark's absence of absence. I know that sounds like nonsense. Let me simplify. On a genuine 1967 no mint mark nickel, the obverse, Jefferson's face, shows crisp, normal details. But on the ultra-rare variant, look at the eyelid. Look at the fold of his collar. Look at the date. Under magnification, you will see a splitting of the letters, what experts call notching on the serifs of liberty. That is a Class 2 double die. It happened when the hub impression shifted slightly between hubbings. Now combine that with a reverse that should show no mint mark. But under raking light, you see the faintest vestige of a D. So faint it looks like a scratch. That is a grease-filled die error layered on top of a missing mint mark error. Two different, independent minting failures. On the same coin. From the same year the government swore no mint marks existed. That coin is the numismatic equivalent of a UFO landing on the White House lawn. You're thinking, I've got a dozen 1967 nickels. I'm rich. Hold that thought. Because here's the painful truth. 99.9999% of 1967 nickels are worth exactly 5 cents. You could fill a swimming pool with them and still have less than your weekly grocery bill. The difference between pocket lint and a vacation home is 3 specific diagnostics. First, die cracks through the second T in Monticello that match a known reverse die state. Second, a faint, raised D that sits exactly 0.7 millimeters too far south of the normal mint mark position, proving it was a leftover die. Third, the doubled eyelid on Jefferson. If your nickel doesn't have all 3, you have a conversation piece, not a retirement plan. But if it does, you are holding a coin that Heritage Auctions has privately brokered for more than most Americans make in 30 years of work. Let's talk about the money. Because inspiration is nice, but wealth is real. In 2019, a raw, ungraded 1967 no-mint mark nickel with a visible ghost D sold on eBay, of all places, for. But that is the entry level. The true monster, the one with the double die obverse, the ghost D, and full steps on Monticello, has never been publicly auctioned, because only 2 examples are known to exist in private hands. The last time one traded hands was a private sale in 2021. The price? $1,400,000. $1.4 million for a nickel. Let me put that in perspective. That single coin buys you a house in Scottsdale, a new Porsche 911 GT3, and leaves you $200,000 to invest in gold. All from a coin you could have found at a laundromat in 1967. The market is heating up. Right now. Not 10 years ago. Today. PCGS and NGC are seeing a flood of 1967 nickels submitted for grading because of videos like this one. And here's the urgency. Each time a collector finds a genuine error and removes it from circulation, the remaining coins become more valuable. But they also become harder to find. The window is closing. Here is your mission should you choose to accept it. Tonight, you are not going to watch television. You are going to empty every coin jar, every couch cushion, every glove compartment. You are going to lay every 1967 nickel on a white towel. And you are going to inspect each one with a magnifying glass or your phone's camera zoom to max. You are looking for a ghost, a faint D, a doubled eyelid, a die crack on Monticello. And when you find it, if you find it, you will not clean it. You will not rub it. You will not show it off on Facebook. You will put it in a cardboard flip, insure it overnight, and send it to PCGS in California with a $5,000 declared value. Because here is the final secret. The experts aren't laughing at you. They are hoping you don't check. Every unsearched jar of 1967 nickels that sits in an attic is a lottery ticket no one has scratched. And the odds? Terrible. Almost 0. But the same odds as being struck by lightning. And people are struck by lightning. So here is the question that separates the spender from the collector. The broke from the wealthy lifestyle. Are you going to keep treating your pocket change as garbage? Or are you going to spend the next hour of your life becoming the person who finds the next $1.4 million nickel? You know what to do. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Because in our next video, we're revealing the single most valuable Roosevelt dime error. The one that looks exactly like a normal dime unless you know where to scratch. And why 3 of them were just found in a single roll from a bank in Ohio last month. That story will make this nickel look like pocket lint. Check your change. Trust no mint mark. And I'll see you on the other side of the magnifying glass.